It's the episode fans have been waiting for, where we ask, what's wrong with Bam Adebayo? And Wes, with Miami having lost 3 of their last 4 games, is it time to start blowing up the team?
It's time to start talking about it, right? Nothing like blow it up talk to make for a good podcast.
You are Locked On Heat, your daily Miami Heat podcast, part of the Locked On Podcast Network, your team every day.
Welcome to Locked On Heat, your daily podcast on the Miami Heat, part of the Locked On Podcast Network, now the #1 sports podcast network. Whether you're tuning in on YouTube or your favorite podcast app, thanks so much for making Locked On Heat your first listen every day. Join the Cookie Gang and become an everydayer. That means subscribing, tuning in every day, Monday through Friday, and signing up for the Everydayer Club with the link in the show notes. Today's episode is brought to you by Game Time. Download the Game Time app, create an account, use the code LOCKEDONNBA for $20 off your first purchase. I'm Wes Goldberg, host of Locked On NBA Daily and Real GM Radio. I'm here with David Ramil. Both of us are credentialed Heat Media members who cover this team every day. Have a jam-packed show for you today. We've got some fake trade ideas from the text line that we're going to look at. Plus, we will preview tonight's game against the Phoenix Suns. We'll do all of that here in a bit. But we got to start today with Bam Adebayo. His game against the Thunder on Sunday, not a great one. 6 points in that one on 3 of 10 shooting. It was his 11th game in a row that he failed to reach 17 points. You might be like, Wes, 17 points, like that's a weird benchmark. Why even bring that up? Well, because the Heat this year are 10-6 when Bam scores at least 17 points, and they are 4-11 when he scores less than 17 points. It is, maybe more than anything else, the ultimate barometer of not just how Bam is playing, obviously, right? We all like to see aggressive Bam out there. But the Heat's success. In the post-Jimmy Butler world, they need Bam Adebayo, maybe not to be a #1 option every night, right? I don't think that that's a fair expectation of him. You have Norm Powell, you have Tyler Herro back in the lineup. Like that baton can get passed around, right? They can hot potato the #1 scoring responsibilities. But you can't not be it for 11 straight games. And it has a lot of fans wondering, is Bam Adebayo, should he be part of a post-Jimmy Butler world? Or, there's a ton of questions going on with Bam right now. But one thing we know for sure is he's not playing up to snuff.
No, I think that's kind of putting it mildly. And it's just an interesting question because it's so the expectations might not be all that high for Bam Adebayo. Although I think some fans might argue that based on his contract, there's a certain benchmark in production that he has to reach on a regular basis. But I think that ship has kind of sailed as time has gone on. Like you could make that argument that, when he was sharing the load offensively with Jimmy Butler and the rest of the team, and he was playing better and being more productive. Maybe you never expected him to be a #1 offensive option, but there were nights where he could showcase that and certainly be that. But without Jimmy Butler, and now with Norm Powell, Tyler Herro et al., I think you still want Bam to be a little bit more productive than what he's been. And I don't think that's asking for too much. So I don't know if or at least some fans' expectations of how productive he should be are realistic for Bam Adebayo, given the confines of this offense. But I still think that what he's doing now is not nearly good enough. And so I would say, like, even if his averages were closer to that 17, I think even that 17 point per game average, as much as it might be an indicator of them winning, that seems about right. That's below his career averages as a starter. And I think that's still fair. And he should be at least matching that level. He should be at least a 17 point per game scorer, despite how the offense has changed with Norm Powell, with Tyler Herro, with everyone else on this roster producing the way they have. It's just when Bam falls short of that, and especially when he shoots so inefficiently as he has because he's struggling to find a shot within the context of this offense, it just makes it very difficult for fans to go and support what they're seeing from somebody who is, unfortunately, being paid a large sum of money. And so I think this is where it's all tied together, is you have a certain contractual value, and there are expectations built in with matching that contract, and Bam isn't reaching those. And I think it's a little overstated. I think it's a little harsh. And yet I think it's still fair to be critical that he hasn't met those kind of expectations, even if you lower them just slightly and say, you know what, you should at least be here. He hasn't done even that much. And so I think that's a problem with how he's played this season.
He looks lost on offense in a way that He's never looked lost on offense before. I mean, you think back in the bubble, he was the ultimate trigger of the offense, right? He was the starting point of even with Jimmy Butler playing as well as he did in the bubble, almost every possession started with Bam and a dribble handoff, right? He was the trigger. He was the point guy for that offense. You think about years later, they get him in the post a little bit more. Then he gets into that pick and roll, that short free throw line jumper and all that stuff that Bam has developed over the course of him being a starter was taken from him with this new offense. And I think it's fair to wonder whether or not this offense is working, right? Like, I think the pace and the tempo and all of that was fun. It's not fun anymore, David. Like, this is not fun anymore. Fun has left the building. This team went from, they were as high as, I think, 11th in offensive rating at a point this season. They're back in the bottom 10 in offensive rating. They're back where they've been. A bottom 10 offense, and they're going to be the bottom 10 offense for a fourth, fifth, whatever year in a row now. And a big part of that is Bam's struggle. A big part of that is Tyler Herro being out. Like, there's a lot of different reasons for it, but Bam's got to be better. But I don't know how he can be better when he's constantly searching for new spots. They have allowed him to get into that free throw line jumper a little bit more. They are running a few more pick and rolls to try to get him. But all that stuff is just like, hey, let's get the big guy going a little bit. It's not in the flow of the offense. Not even a little bit, right? Like, these are set plays where Erik Spoelstra wanted to not call set plays. You look at just his where his field goals are coming from this season. 71% of his total field goal attempts are 2-pointers, which sounds like a pretty decent amount. But when you compare that to the fact that 94% for his career have come from 2-point range, his 2-point attempts are way down, which is kind of cool that he's now taking threes and everything. And we've been asking Bam to take threes for his entire career, basically. It feels like now 28%, 29% of his shot attempts are coming from 3-point range. He's not that good of a 3-point shooter. And especially lately where he is 5 of 20 from 3-point range over the last 11 games. And I've mentioned this before, David, because of the new offense and the fact that they've taken away all of his sweet spots and the things that he likes to go to, he's Buddy Hield. Like, he's like, hey, if the three isn't going in, he's not doing anything offensively, because that's the only consistent spot that he's getting shots from right now. And that's it. Like, you could tell if his threes aren't going in, Bam's not playing well offensively. I think there's a lot of, I think you can blame the offensive system for it. Obviously, I don't think it's working right now. I think you can obviously blame Bam because other guys have figured out ways Pelle Larsson's figuring out ways to make it work in this offense, right? Why can't Bam? And whether he's playing power forward or center or whatever it is, he has not shown a knack to be able to take guys off the dribble or whatever it is. Now, the other part of this, David, obviously, we know that he's hurt. You know, he's obviously hurt and dealing with something. Maybe we'll get an explanation about to what extent. Maybe it's really bothering him more than we even know. But I'm running out of excuses here. There's blame for everybody, but simply put, either the Heat got to put Bam in a better position or Bam needs to do more. It's probably a little bit of both.
Yeah, I think that what it boils down to, because I think it's unfair to ask the team to change things around just to accommodate Bam. Like, that they might tweak things a little bit or run different sets that might maximize what Bam has historically shown is fine, because I think that's something that you want to do to get him going. And that's
not
fair.
To cut you off. That's why I brought up the fact that they're 22nd in offensive rating. It's not like they're changing something that works to accommodate Bam.
Right.
It doesn't work.
Right. So that's fine. Having said that, I think most of the onus should be on Bam. I don't know what the split is. I don't know if it's worth pointing out. Like, the math of it is who deserves more blame for it or not. But I think when you look at what Bam can do, and like you brought up an interesting point, like, why is Pelle Larsson more successful within the context of this team's offense than Bam Adebayo? And the one thing I keep pointing to, or at least thinking in my head, and maybe you might disagree, you've made a point before, I think it's a lack of a handle. Like, he's not fluid enough putting the ball on the floor to take advantage of those spots within the offense, because the offense is so much more fast-paced in terms of making decisions, taking guys off the dribble. When the ball's in your hands, you put it down or you shoot it. And that's not Bam's game. Bam likes a slower, more, facing to the front and then kind of initiating something that way, see if he can back somebody down. And he kind of just needs to put it down and go. And that's not his strength. Like, he cannot. I don't think he's good enough. I don't think he's skilled enough as a ball handler to be able to just say, okay, the ball's in my hands. I'm going to take this guy off the dribble before he has a chance to recover. Because even if he couldn't get past that defender, whoever it might be, like I think that would still lead to free throws or foul attempts because Bam, is generally quicker than the people who are guarding him. And at the same time, he's not doing it. Like he gives a defender a chance to kind of recover in a way that he shouldn't. Like the same way we talk about Tyler over dribbling, Bam isn't even dribbling. So he catches a ball, he faces up, and he's kind of staring you down, and he does that little jab step. That might have worked in the past if you were within 8 to 10 feet of the basket and you were taking down slower plotting centers. With today's game, most centers are quick enough to be able to adapt. And so as he's facing up here, I just think that the defenders are saying, okay, you're either going to go right or you're going to go left. We know you can't go left. So what are you going to do? You're going to throw up that little jump hook. You're going to pull up suddenly, with the jumper.
Yep. He's got two moves.
You don't have to do much
two dribbles. It's 2 dribbles into a pull-up jumper or 2 dribbles into that spin to the left to the hook. That's it.
Right.
Those are his 2 moves. It's kind of like Jaylen Brown, right? Like we were making fun of Jaylen Brown a couple of years ago. You can't go
no left hand, yeah.
But here's the difference between somebody like Jaylen Brown or even a guy like Powell Larson and Bam. Bam's a center. And it kind of goes back to the expectations part of this. It's like, yeah, this guy doesn't have a handle. Yeah, he's a center. I know it's 2026. I know it's the NBA. He should have more of a handle. But at the same time, you've asked this guy to do all of these different things for over the course of his career, and now you're going to ask him to develop a handle. And so maybe with time, he'll develop it. Like with time, he developed a post game. With time, he developed that free throw line jumper. And with time, he developed the 3-pointer. It's going to take time if you continue to ask Bam to do this. I think he can do it. He's developed all these other things that the Heat have asked him to. He doesn't have it now. But the question is, how long can you wait, right?
You can't.
I don't think you can.
I disagree with the thought that he's a center anymore. Like he probably should never have played center. And I know it was something he had done. I know he played it. I know he was kind of forced in that position. But if you're going to take a 6'11" point forward and Nico and make him play center, you can take a 6'8"-ish, 6'9" center and actually make him play power forward. Because I mean, you've got a guy like Michael Porter Jr. who's like 3 inches taller than Bam, and he's playing the 3 and 4. Like, I mean, that's a completely different situation, and I understand that. And I know their skill sets are different, but it's all about taking advantage of whatever physical traits you have and putting them in a position to succeed. And if that's not the case, either you got to develop an outside shot, which he hasn't. And I'm looking at the numbers right now. He's at 31.7 this season in terms of 3-point shooting. For his career, he's 31.5. So it's like you're right back where you've been. You haven't developed into a three-point
that's most of his threes have come this season. So like the averages are all skewed. But yeah, he's not a great 3-point shooter, to your point. The other part about this that bothers me that is troubling is that he's not even doing the center stuff, right? Like, where are the dunker spot lobs? Where are all these other things? They're not really in the offense for him. And now that's part of maybe why you separate him and Kel'el, because we did see a little bit more of that in the first half against OKC, where he did get a couple of dunker spot possessions. I think 2 in a row. I think I marked it down in my game notes. With Kel'el off the floor, I think the idea is to get those more easy looks for him. But you got to start seeing the return on investment there. You got to start seeing dividends on that, because taking Kel'el out comes at a defensive price, right? Because you're swapping Herro in, who's maybe one of your weakest defenders, if not your weakest defender. No, your weakest defender. Yeah, you're putting Herro in, and you're taking Ware out, who's a 7-footer with shot blocking potential. So, look, a ton more to get to here. The big question that people want to know: if this ain't it, do you have to trade Bam? We're seeing stars get traded all across the NBA. A lot of guys in trade rumors. Should Bam be on the trade block? You guys asked. We'll answer it coming up next here on Locked On Heat.
Today's episode is brought to you by Game Time. During basketball season, there's nothing like being in the building, the energy, the crowd, that first big run that gets everyone on their feet. Fans want to be there for those moments, not stuck refreshing screens or guessing what tickets are really going to cost. But that's where Game Time comes in, because the Game Time app gives fans the advantage back, making it incredibly easy to score amazing tickets, fast, simple, and without the guesswork. You just browse the Game Time app. It's so straightforward and intuitive. Finding tickets is just a few taps away. You can see the prices and fees right up front. So the total is clear from the start. You don't have to worry about anything hidden or coming up and paying more than you thought you would, because you know exactly what you're getting and for what price. Whether it's an NBA game or another live event, everything is right there in one place. That's what makes using Game Time so easy to use and saving some money while you're at it. So take the guesswork out of buying tickets with Game Time. Download the Game Time app, create an account, and use the code LOCKEDONNBA. That's LOCKEDON NBA. You get $20 off your first purchase. Download the Game Time app today and get in on the action. Today's episode is also brought to you by ZocDoc. Finding a doctor you actually like can feel like discovering a diamond in the rough. You want someone in network, nearby, with availability, but you also want a doctor who really listens, makes you feel comfortable, and explains things clearly and helps you walk out feeling confident about your next step. Well, your diamond in the rough doctor exists, and finding them is easy with ZocDoc. ZocDoc is a free app and website that helps you find and book high-quality, in-network doctors so you can choose someone you truly connect with. You'll love being able to search for specialties or symptoms and quickly finding the right fit. And being able to choose in-person or video visits makes scheduling way easier. How many times have you got an appointment and figured, I could have just done this by phone in 10 minutes? Well, with ZocDoc, you can find exactly who you're looking for. You can check the verified patient reviews to get a real sense of the doctor's vibe and their communication style. The real-time availability means you can book instantly. No phone tag, making appointments going on and trying to find the right times for you or for them. No. You know exactly when they're available, and you can make an appointment right there and then. If you need to book something fast, that's the first place to go to. Stop putting off those doctor's appointments and go to ZocDoc.com/LockedOnBA and find and instantly book a doctor that you love today. That's ZocDoc.com/LockedOnBA. ZocDoc.com/LockedOnBA. Thanks to ZocDoc for sponsoring this message. We'll be right back.
We see the comments all the time. Trade Bam. Trade Bam. Trade Bam. Well, I think most people know where I stand, David, on this idea, but I'll entertain it. Let's entertain it. All right. Let's say the Heat opened up the phones for Bam Adebayo. Where are you trading them? What would a trade look like? Potential destinations? What should the Heat be asking for? And all of that stuff. Where are you on this, man? Like, I feel like I'm just yelling into an empty void most of the time when I talk about this stuff, and I understand that Heat fans, a lot of them are very frustrated. It's a very vocal portion of the fan base, and I'm not saying that Bam has been playing great. He's been bad. He needs to be better. But there's a difference between this guy needs to be better versus let's trade this guy. Where are you on this?
It's kind of a hard question to answer right now because I'm kind of at a point the same way I am with Tyler, and I just think that at some point, it doesn't seem like it's the right fit for either of these guys. And I like both of them, and I appreciate everything that they've done over the course of their careers. Like, as their careers have thrived, our ability to cover this team has expanded and grown. And so it's hard not to tie in that kind of personal appreciation for watching them put in the work and having them grow as individual players, even as we continue to grow this platform. And so I like what Bam does in general. I like his approach to the game, his personality, the work ethic, all the things that he has contributed over the course of his time in Miami. But as much as I appreciate that, and I know that he is a positive and impactful player, sometimes you just get to the point where maybe a change of scenery is best. And I don't know if that deal exists. I would love to say that there's a world where you can keep Bam, maybe keep Tyler, and build the rest of the team around them with the right personnel. But I don't know what that world is. You've got two players that aren't superstars, number one options, that are going to be making a considerable amount of money. And it depends on what Tyler's extension is. And I know a lot of people are already concerned about what that future holds, but that's a lot of money committed to players that are only going to yield a certain amount of a productivity. And so it's all about having a clearly established hierarchy. If your top player is getting paid a certain amount, he better be your top player. He better produce. You can't have your top paid player be somebody who's more of a third option on offense. And for everything that Bam does defensively, I just have to question whether or not having him on this team is the right fit. He would be more complimentary of a guy like, say, I don't know, Luka Doncic, a engine, a pure superstar. You know,
Yep.
That is not a player that exists on the Heat roster.
Yeah. Bam's not a number one option on a championship level team or a playoff team, like a high level playoff team. He's not. I don't think, like, I've been consistent with that the entire time. I guess where the rub is for me is trade Bam because he's not a number one option. And if you could trade Bam and get a number one option, that's a different story. That doesn't happen. You don't trade Anthony Davis for Luka Doncic unless Nico Harrison has something to do with it. Like, it doesn't work that way. You're not trading Bam for the number one option. You're trading other stuff for the number one option. And then when you get the number one option, you're going to wish you had somebody like Bam on the roster.
Absolutely.
And that's where I keep coming in. I'm trying not to be short-sighted about this. I'm trying to be realistic about this. If you can go out and get Giannis and keep Bam, Bam looks a lot better. And that's okay. And it's okay to pay Bam what you're going to pay him if you have Giannis. Now, can you pay Bam what you're going to pay him and Giannis and Tyler and Norm and Wiggins? No, you can't. You got to make some tough decisions. But of all of that group, all of a sudden, Bam looks a lot better next to Giannis than any of those other guys do. And so that, I think, is what the Heat are holding on to. In terms of the trading Bam part of this, I'm not there yet. I'm not saying I'll never get there. I don't think I need to be there yet. I don't think the Heat need to be there yet. He's 28 going on 29 years old. Okay, he's not old, but he's not young. I think you wait to see what happens with this Giannis situation. And if at the other side of this Giannis thing, if he's either not wearing a Heat jersey, playing somewhere else, or if that's just not going to happen and there's not another that kind of option out there who's that level player, a top 10 player with just a top 10 player that you can actually realistically go get. Then I think you have to have a real conversation about not just trading Bam, but if you trade Bam, blowing it all up. Just going full the other way and saying, look, we've tried for years to trade for this guy. It doesn't work. We're either not willing to give up what it takes because it'll mortgage the future and we'll have a good player on a bad roster. We'll be the Milwaukee Bucks right now, which nobody wants to be.
Right.
We tried signing these guys. It doesn't work anymore. Stars don't enter free agency anymore. We got to go through the draft. And at some point, the Heat might have to have a really hard look. They do not take step backs. We hear it over and over and over again. But at some point, they might have to. I'm willing to say that point isn't right now. As frustrating as this losing skid is, as frustrating as it is, I want to remind people we're months removed from transitioning out of the Jimmy Butler era. I'm having a little bit more patience. Even though I might get to the same conclusion that a lot of other people are already at now, where you've got to blow it up right now, I'm just not there yet. I would rather be late and right than early and wrong. And so I don't know what the harm is in just holding on to these guys and letting it play out and get more and go through this discovery phase of what this team is post Jimmy Butler and trying to figure out what pieces work. I'm okay with that. Now, let's jump into some of these fake trades because we got some fake trades submitted by our listeners on the text line. We're going to talk about that and a quick preview of tonight's game against the Suns after this.
I carry a lot of responsibility in my household. If something happened to me, there would be serious consequences. We have a mortgage. We got tuition. We got everyday bills. Those aren't going anywhere if something happens to me. And I know that's an overwhelming feeling, but I'm taking steps to protect my family by getting life insurance through Ethos. Ethos makes getting life insurance fast, easy, and 100% online. You can get a quote in seconds, apply in minutes, and get same-day coverage. There's no medical exam. You just answer a few simple health questions. You can get up to $3 million in coverage. Some policies are as low as $30 a month. And as of March 2025, Business Insider named Ethos the #1 no medical exam instant life insurance provider. Ethos has 4.8 out of 5 stars on Trustpilot with over 3,000 reviews. Protect your family with life insurance from Ethos now by going to ethos.com/lockdownNBA. In as little as 10 minutes, you can get your free quote and up to $3 million in coverage at ethos.com/lockdownNBA. That's ethos.com/lockdownNBA. Ethos.com/lockdownNBA. Application times and rates may vary.
That's the most we'll ever make you listen to John Corrales on this show. Thanks to John for the message. Yeah. Some of these fake trades that were sent in on the text line here. This one comes from Flavio, who writes in, the Heat get Ja Morant and Zach Edey. The Grizzlies get Bam Adebayo and Simone Fontecchio. What are your thoughts, David?
No, I can't do that. That's where the problem is, and I hate to break it down. And I know that we've been criticized sometimes of having to play favorites for the members of the Heat roster, but I just think that if you're bringing Morant on there, that's a guy that is made better or makes Bam better, and Bam is more complimentary of what Morant is. You don't trade Bam for Morant. You'd have to trade, unfortunately, a guy like Tyler. I think that's where it comes in, because that's where you give Ja the ball and let him go to work, and then he makes Bam better, and conversely, Bam covers up with his game what he does defensively. He covers up a lot of what Morant gives up in that regard. So
Bam
I don't
needs
see that
Ja,
as
Ja
being
needs Bam. Doesn't make sense. And I know that Kel'el Ware's on the roster. My thing on this is, why are you giving up that much? Like, even the biggest Bam haters out there would say, if we could give up Terry Rozier
right.
for Ja, like, just do that, right? Yeah, like, you would do that, right? Like, come on.
Right.
I don't think you got to give up this much. This you're getting waxed here by the Grizzlies. Like, Pat Riley should be fired if this is what happens. Like,
Maybe
Adam
that's
Simon,
why they
Andy
wanted to make
Ellsberg,
the
all
move.
of them.
Yeah.
They're all fired.
Yeah.
All of you are fired if you trade Bam for Ja Morant. When Ja's value is this, what are you doing?
Right.
Like, you're like Nico Harrison. Hold my beer? No way. Stop. Jonah writes in, Norm Powell to OKC for Kenrich Williams, Ousmane Dieng, a 2026 first-round pick, a 2027 first-round pick that comes over from Denver that's top 5 protected. So he's got, Jonah submitted 2 trade ideas. We'll start with this one. This, to me, David, when we talk about, if you're going to trade Bam, you might as well just do all of it and just blow it up. This is what that looks like to me. Norman OKC does make quite a bit of sense to me. He was actually, before the Heat traded for Norm Powell, I was looking at the Thunder to potentially trade for Norm Powell this last summer. This is a team that needs 3-point shooting. If you're going to trade Norm, I would do it. You send him to a contender. You get a couple of first-round picks. That does make sense if you got to the point right now as Miami of, hey, we're going to take a massive step backwards, try to get into the lottery in a pretty loaded draft here.
Yeah, that makes sense. Especially if you're not planning on paying Norm either. And I think that's what the rub is. But Oklahoma City is not going to pay Norm either. So it would be jettisoning there in the hopes that he'll enter free agency. He's not going to get paid by Oklahoma City.
No, I mean, yeah, it's a great point, right? It's like, okay, see, let's mortgage a couple of future first-round picks to increase our odds of repeating as champions this year, which can't fault them for that if that's the decision they make. The other one is Wiggins to the Lakers. This is, again, from Jonah. Wiggins to the Lakers for Gabe Vincent, Max Kleber, Dalton Connect, Adu Thiero, who we did a Blue Notebook on. I think I was higher on him than you were. Has not done much for the Lakers. And a 2031 first-round pick, top 5 protected, coming over from the Lakers. I saw also on The Athletic today a very similar type of deal, but it was Rui Hachimura coming in plus Dalton Connect, I think Max Kleber, and a 2031 first also. So Wiggs to the Lakers. We've talked about this before. Like there comes a time where the Lakers come calling. If they're that desperate to give you some decent stuff for Wiggs, it might be hard to say no. As much as Wiggs has been pretty reliable, if not, not spectacular, but reliable nonetheless.
Yeah, I can't get behind that trade. I don't know. I think I posted it when we talked about it last, and I still feel a little bit unimpressed by the idea of trading Wiggins to the Lakers. You're not getting any kind of return. And I'm not, again, I would rather use, if you're going to look at it from that perspective and you don't think that Wiggins is going to be a part of what this team is doing this year, then use the contract for nothing else to acquire a better player. Like not for the kind of players that you're getting back in exchange or the draft picks. None of them are going to be good enough.
If you hypothetically, if I'm going to push back on you, David, if you do both of Jonah's trades, you trade Norm to OKC and Wiggs to the Lakers, and you get 3 first-round picks total back for Powell and Wiggins.
Fine. Is that enough to pry Giannis out of Milwaukee?
It might be, plus the 3 firsts that you have right now, and then the other 3 firsts, plus all these not interesting, but expiring salaries that are really easy to start building up trades. Maybe if not even Giannis, something else. I don't know. I wasn't even going to go there yet. I think the step before. How much worse are you?
Trading away Norman Wiggins?
Yeah, how much worse are you right now? You're worse. I admit you're worse. How much worse? With Hero back and healthy?
Kel'el playing the Wig spot, I guess.
Jaime playing the way he's playing? Yep.
Yeah,
I don't think you're that worse.
Davion, Tyler, Pella, Bam, Ware. Go back to that lineup.
Yep.
With Jaime coming off the bench.
Mm-hmm.
I don't hate it.
You eliminate your ceiling, right? You eliminate whatever's possible with Norm and Hero in a backcourt, which I still am interested to find out. I don't think it's a title-winning backcourt, but I'm interested to see how good it is. So you eliminate that ceiling. You cut the ceiling off, but I don't think the floor goes down that much.
Yeah, I could see that argument. I mean, maybe
if that's the case, you might as well have another 3 first-round picks in your back pocket, right? Like, at some point you got to ask yourself that question. Like, we know that the Miami Heat will never take a dramatic step back, blah, blah, blah. Winning is everything. Like, we get it.
But this isn't a dramatic step back.
It seems like it on paper, right? But then you think about it, maybe it's not. Maybe it's not that big of a, especially if you don't think you're going to re-sign Norm, which I'm not sure that they will or won't, right? Like, I think they're still trying to make that decision. And then Wiggs is a player option too. I think the likelihood of having Tyler, Norm, and Wiggs on the roster next season, I don't know that it's a high. I don't think the odds on that are very high. I think you got to make a decision at some point. Like, they could. Like, they don't have to make that decision this summer, but they certainly could. It's interesting stuff. Keep sending trade ideas to the text line and sign up to the Everydayer Club with the link in the show notes. Really quick tonight, the Miami Heat play the Phoenix Suns. Quick injury report update here. Tyler Herro is available. Norm Powell listed as questionable as of 9 o'clock tonight on this injury report. Hopeful that he will be able to play in this game, because the Heat are going to need all the help they can get, because Phoenix is really good. They're a good defensive team. Top 6, I think, in defensive rating. They're a very strong offensive rebounding team. With that said, they do crash a lot under Jordan Ott. That's one of his big analytic margin things that they're trying to win. And teams that do crash a lot, the Heat tend to get runouts against these kinds of teams. And I do think, because of Phoenix's lack of true point guard play, and because they will send a lot of players to the offensive boards, I do wonder if there's going to be a lot of transition opportunities for Miami. This is a really interesting matchup, David.
Yeah, I would have said an interesting matchup maybe a month and a half ago. Now, not as optimistic. I mean, coming back, it's always usually a challenge for a team after especially a demoralizing 4-game trip like that. Now, obviously, one of those games was postponed, but which we should talk about right now.
Yeah, I have this as a note. Go ahead.
Okay. But Phoenix, a good team, a very good defensive team too. So I think for a team like Miami, struggling as they have offensively, I am not optimistic, and I wish I could be. Like the way I was maybe, say, like a month and a half ago. It was a very different vibe about the team and what they were capable of doing. And with a team like Phoenix that's looking to capitalize and build on their success this season, Miami is right in the opposite end of that spectrum, where they kind of feel like they've thrown in the towel to a certain degree, and you wonder whether or not they can try and turn it around. If so, I'd be encouraged to see what they can do against Phoenix if that's the attitude they have, but I'm just not sure.
Phoenix Suns depth chart, center position: Mark Williams, Oso Ighodaro, Nick Richards, Kamin Malawach, who's not really playing as a rookie.
You start Kel'el?
Maybe, I don't care. Bam, do it, man. Like, to kind of bookend our show here, you need a big game from Bam at home. There's no excuse for Bam in this one. The Heat's postponed game against the Bulls has been rescheduled, as you mentioned, David, for January 29th at 8 p.m. in Chicago. The Heat on the schedule had a January 30th game against the Bulls. That has been rescheduled for January 31st at 8 p.m. in Miami. So they ended up creating this little baseball series at the end of the month in Chicago, and then back at home against the Bulls January 29th and January 31st. So adjust your calendars accordingly. Thanks for tuning in today to Locked On Heat. Make sure you subscribe and follow Locked On Heat so you get all the latest episodes. We will be back tomorrow with our post-game reactions to tonight's game against the Suns. Thanks for tuning in. We'll talk to you then.